Well, thank you very much for joining us today for another edition of the Keep Africa Trading podcast from TradeMark Africa. And our guest at this moment is Ahmed from the Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce. And he's going to be sharing with us different perspectives as we are here in Kigali for the Africa Trade Development Forum, which is running today on the 2nd of December as well as the 3rd of December 2024. And during this particular forum, we're having conversations around what are the opportunities for digital trade across the African continent, and more importantly, delivering more opportunities and possibilities from an intra-African trade perspective. And most importantly, because TradeMark Africa does a lot of things within the Kenyan market, we're getting to see Ahmed's perspective and how they work closely with the TradeMark Africa to achieve various outcomes. Thank you very much for joining us, Ahmed.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So maybe you can introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do at the chamber.
My name is Ahmed Farah. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at the Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the largest and the oldest business management organization in the country, Kenya. It's present in all the 47 counties and has membership of no less than 300,000.
Wow.
Across the country, ranging from small proprietorship, like boda riders, to large multinationals, and across all the sectors of our economy through MSME categorization of our businesses, micro, small, medium, and large enterprises. KNCCI seeks to create a vibrant and prosperous business environment in the country through advocacy work, through trade promotions, like B2B and expos for our members, and through capacity building and hand-holding businesses so that they can take advantage of the markets both in the country and out of the country.
Fantastic. So maybe giving us a perspective, how does the chamber work specifically with TradeMark Africa?
So TradeMark Africa is one of the funders and the donors that work very closely with Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce to create capacity for our members through training, technical expertise, and also providing programs that create market for our members. Like there's an ongoing program that TradeMark is running with the KNCCI to see how to create markets for SMEs in Africa on the back of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. There are programs also that have been very successful and funded by TradeMark Africa, like the e-commerce program called iSOKO, that has provided digital market platform for our members. This has gone a long way, not just during the pandemic period where there was minimal face man-to-man contact, but it has also facilitated our members to access markets that ordinarily they would not have accessed, including market information as well.
So when you work with TradeMark, I mean, how have you, if I was to put it this way, essentially through this partnership or collaboration, excuse me, through this partnership or collaboration, what are some of the key impacts that you've seen through these various initiatives?
The impacts are there, tangible and felt by our members. Like I mentioned earlier on, access to markets ordinarily will have taken a bit longer to get access to through digital access, digital markets, such as on the iSOKO program, but also the market development programs that TradeMark has funded through KNCCI to determine viability of African market for our SMEs, which has given us a lot of knowledge and information, which probably would have taken us a bit of time to discover. This has allowed us to reflect again on how we can prepare our MSMEs to access African markets. Ordinarily, most of our SMEs find themselves, I think, as a rule of thumb, making kiondos, bitenges, and curios. But if you think again, this is how our SMEs have found themselves by default because of the European and international markets.
Yeah.
But when we think about Africa market, each country has their own flavor of curios, bitenges, and you get to realize that maybe we need to take a step back and reposition our SMEs to differentiate so that they can access African markets. So these are some of the lessons that have come through partnerships with TradeMark in understanding our markets.
So when you talk about digital trade, what are some of the opportunities that you can see going forward?
Opportunities are plenty, but still the challenges do handicap us that need to be attended to. Africa increasingly as a market coming together presents a huge opportunity for SMEs for inter-Africa trade. It's projected by 2050 the GDP for Africa will be no less than 4.6 trillion. At the moment it's about 3.4 trillion. Africa is trading at about 14%. Not anywhere close to potential for inter-Africa trade. The EU, the good best practice of our one market trades at about 60%. For us as Africans to reach the potential for inter-Africa trade, we need to embrace digitalization. And this is one of the initiative and ways that we can exploit the potential for Africa markets by having borderless frontiers. And there are many initiatives that we can embrace as an economy, African economy, to see how we can bring down our borders. At the moment, the regional economic blocks there are different varying stages of efficiencies of border crossing, but the future should be no border. And this can be achieved through digitalization. When goods are being cleared at the ports, for instance, TradeMark Africa has invested quite heavily to facilitate border crossings through cargo tracking of containers, scanning of containers, smart gates that tracks the movement of the trucks and the containers. All this with Authorized Economic Operators Program. A pilot can be run to create a green channel at which some of these AEOs can cross borders with non-human contact.
Wow.
So that we can move away from what is being promoted right now, one-stop border, to no-stop border. That will be the surest way of integrating Africa. Of course, there are initiatives at Africa level to see how we can take advantage of digitalization to connect us, such as the Pan-Africa payment system.
Correct.
But again, we need to also evolve the parts to not just integrating with commercial banks, but take advantage of this mobile money payment platforms such as M-Pesa.
Across the different wallets,
Across different wallets. This will go a long way in enhancing financial inclusion for our SMEs. So there are many initiatives that through digitalization that can power Africa coming together as one market.
So maybe I'm asking for myself, but if I today wanted my company to join the chamber, what is required?
Well, the registration process is very simple. We register both at the county level, where we have our county chapters, and at Nairobi, the headquarters. And depending on the nature and size of your business, there are scaled membership levels that you can come in. But the value that we provide for our members are, like what I highlighted earlier on, is market intelligence, access to markets, trade promotion, B2B connections. But increasingly, we're also looking at how we can support our members access a bit more of credit finance or trade finance, which has been very lacking. So we are starting programs that look at advocating for SMEs lending requirements to be a bit reviewed, let me just say reviewed, through engagement with risk-sharing platforms such as Africa Guarantee Fund, conversations with the Central Bank, National Treasury, to see how we can tone down through credit guarantee schemes the lending requirements for our SMEs, so that we can enhance the uptake. As it is today, for every 10 SMEs that try and access financing from commercial bank who have a lot of trade finance facilities, 8 are turned away.
The majority.
8 are turned away, as compared to 7% of large enterprises who struggle to get access. So this calls for a lot of affirmative action, a lot of advocacy for our SMEs to enhance the absorption of trade facility programs that are out there with almost all commercial banks. AfCFTA in Africa has almost $750 billion available to SMEs, but the absorption rate is almost zero.
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. So for our SMEs to power up their manufacturing plants, which are dead right now, they need not just markets, they need to understand the markets, differentiate themselves to those markets, but also have access to finance so that those machines can be powered up again. That's what KNCCI is endeavoring to do, and that's how we can support you.
Fantastic. Maybe for the benefit of our audience, do you think there's anything else that they should know, maybe something that's important, any key highlights that you think would be helpful to them in terms of understanding what you're doing at the Chamber, but also possibly the collaborations that you have with TradeMark?
So I think one of the most exciting initiatives that I'm looking at rolling out at KNCCI is to see how we can create strategies and programs for our youth to be job creators and not job seekers. Every year we have 1 million youth entering job markets.
Correct.
At different levels of education. And less than 200,000 get jobs. And this is not to talk about the challenges in the economy where people are being laid off at work. How we want to do this is to start incubation centers at regional levels of our counties, business innovation hubs, centers of excellence that can aggregate our youth based on the level of education and expertise to go through a process that will facilitate understanding of business, how to run a business, how to manage a business, provide
fundamental skill sets,
fundamental skill sets, and nurture the ideas they have, because our youth are very smart. Our youth their brains are always buzzing with ideas. We want to create a platform where that can be captured, whether it's ICT, whether it's business enterprise, traditional buying and selling, whether it's production, that through that program we can handhold them to a point where they will access markets, they will access finance, and they will create jobs.
That's brilliant. So basically you see yourselves as a bridge potentially for the youth, because what I've seen in my own experience, also having been involved in running a few startup competitions, there's often a huge gap between the innovator's initial spark and then the practical application.
Totally.
Or what we call product market fit.
Totally. And through this program, where we look at also plugging in mentorship programs from well-established C-suite leaders to come and handhold and train and talk to our youth. Let me tell you, when we were growing up, by default, we wanted to go into employment, to be a teacher, a pilot, a policeman. Unfortunately, that served the purpose to lift our families out of poverty entrapment. But I am certain today, if you ask most of our youth what they want to be when they grow up, chances are very high they'll talk about politics, government, and this is because of the skewed mind that our youth have gotten to see that the quickest pathway to wealth is government and politics. This is very unfortunate because we're not creating or growing our economy through that. If anything, we're cannibalizing our economy. If you want to try this out, just go to University of Nairobi. I was there 2 weeks back.
Yeah.
And I asked in passing, what is the most in-demand course? Believe it or not, it's procurement. Not engineering, not science, not innovation programs. And this is the mindset that we're looking at attending to as Kenyan Institute Chamber of Commerce, targeting programs for our youth so that we can entrench in their minds that entrepreneurship is a way out of poverty. Job creation is a way out of poverty. So it's going to be a long term. It will call for all hands on deck, but I believe with time we'll get there.
So what I'm hearing you say here, then, it's really we need to move towards more of a prosperity mentality, which is how do we create value? I think the word they call it is blue ocean. Create new value versus feeding off the old red ocean.
Exactly. So it's an exciting time for us at KNCCI, and we believe that through this concerted effort by all stakeholders and actors, we'll be able to address some of the challenges that are facing our country today, which is jobs and exports.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I think the clarion call that I want to make out there for our leadership, both in private sector, business leaders, and government, is to start thinking very strongly how we can enable a culture of job creation. This is what is my driving force right now today.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think that's a perfect moment to close our conversation.
Thank you very much.
Ahmed, thank you so much for sharing your insights and perspectives. I think we've learned a lot about the chamber. Yeah. I think I'm going to talk to my admin manager tomorrow to start the process of application so that we too can become part of the organization and hopefully see the benefits that you're talking about.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
Asante sana.
So there you've heard it from Ahmed from the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. He's given us wonderful perspectives. I really love the way he spoke about his passion for the youth and job creation in Kenya and how they're working closely with TradeMark to really create those opportunities for businesses of all sizes in Kenya to create a more Pan-African footprint in terms of their offerings for the marketplace. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation and we look forward to catching you in the next podcast. Asante sana.